Joining me today is Famus Hasty. Hasty is a defensive back who has played in the IFL and CFL and received NFL looks as well. Famus describes himself as a football player, musician, poet, and mixed martial artist, showing how well-rounded he is as a person. However, on the field, he has shown his talent by collecting a list of awards, highlighted by Defensive Player of the Year. Thank you for joining me. How you doing today, man?
Good, man. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. How about yourself?
I definitely can't complain. I appreciate you bringing a little of excitement to my Monday.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate you.
I'm was definitely excited to talk to you all day. I was thinking about like what I was going to ask you and, going through your background a little bit more and
Yeah, no
trying
doubt.
to make sure I was all studied up on everything.
Yeah. No doubt.
But for those of you who are joining us right now and didn't see it, Famus suited up and played yesterday for Sioux Falls, the Storm of the IFL. And why don't you go ahead and walk us through how the game went for you? And did you guys start the season with a win?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely started strong. Especially all through camp defensively. I felt great the whole time. I felt like we were going to start off with a bang, and like I felt like the guys we had, the bond we created in that short amount of time. It was definitely one of the best camps I've been to in a minute. So I knew we were going to come out strong, and I'm proud that we did. We come out with the win as well. Offense stepped it up. They're super good over there too. So can't complain at all.
Absolutely. Like I said, I definitely tuned in and watched most of the game. I definitely, I'm not going to lie, shut it off at 40 seconds left when you guys got the ball back. I was like, it's 35-24. They're going to win. I don't even need to watch this last drive. They're probably just going to kneel it on it anyway. Yeah. But anyway, getting to your background specifically, when did you get involved with organized football and what inspired you to start playing football?
So for me, it's kind of funny. I'm like the truest definition of a late bloomer. If you ask any of my cousins probably on here, they'll tell you that like as a young kid, like as a shorty, I was never really into football. I was never really into like being outside all day. I used to hate being hot. We used to be down in the country, Mississippi, Winstonville, and it got hot. I used to not like it out there sometimes. And then like as I got older, it really was high school, I would say, like maybe sophomore year, junior year, where I actually took to the sport. I think mainly it started with just having an outlet, like a group of friends. It was a way for me to kind of, get out there and kind of hit people, like kind of just be physical, be a guy, just kind of things like that. I think that's why it started. And then it became a passion, I would say about junior year to senior year, definitely senior year. And then that's why I say I'm a late bloomer, because I really wasn't pushing college football that much. I really wasn't pushing football professionally, obviously, at that point. But those chips kind of aligned perfectly after I dedicated myself to the sport, I gotta say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have you always played in the secondary, or were you moved around a little bit before?
I originally played receiver. Freshman year, sophomore year, I played receiver. But when you're that young, you kind of play a little bit of everything. So I also played corner at the same time as well. And then by my junior year, I was full corner DB.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I had watched a couple of your other interviews in the past, and I read that you actually had people tell you during the high school level that you weren't good enough to make college football level. And is there anything you want to say to those people that said that way back when? I mean, today you're a professional football player. You obviously proved them wrong.
I gotta say no, because at the end of the day, like everything everybody's ever said to me, like it gave me a reason to do it. You know what I mean? And I gotta say, I've had some powerful people in my corner, God being number one. And then my family is amazing support system for me, because I remember there were times, as a 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, where that would get to me. I tell my dad about it, and he'd be like, nah, like I'm telling you this, I'm telling you that. And my mom, she doesn't know anything about football. Well, she's getting better over the years. But at the time, she was just in my head with the scriptures, telling me, they may not know you, God knows this, where were they when things were this? And, they really laid that foundation in me to really not give up on myself. And even to this day, I didn't exactly think I'd be in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, playing arena football, but they've always had my back. And even my wife, like, she's always supported me, always said, go chase your dreams, things like that. So, I think they're the real reason why I don't have anything to say to those people, because I've believed in myself, this whole time. And that's why I am here.
Makes perfect sense. So that kind of answers my next question, which would have been, are you the type of player that uses that as fuel to the fire? But it kind of sounds like you don't really, I mean, you do, but you don't really need it to.
Yeah. I think fuel to the fire in a sense that, like, it's almost like, kind of like, the prove them wrong type of thing, but it's more so about me. Instead of proving them wrong, I'm more trying to prove me right. I try to focus on me, my family, because it doesn't matter what level you're at. Even high school these days, everybody's got something to say. Like, everybody's got a problem. Everybody's got an issue with whatever. So it's really about you and yours and how you handle it,
100%. 100%. All you can do is control what you can control. And
yeah, exactly.
Who cares what other people have to say, as far as I'm concerned. But moving on, despite the way these people thought about you, you not only went on to prove them wrong, you excelled at the college level. You won Defensive Player of the Week. I think it was 4 times. Were named to the National Team of the Week. Made 3rd team All-Region in 2017. Then followed it up with Scholastic Honor Roll. Then again, you were 1st team All-WIAC in 2017 and 2018. During your senior season alone, you collected 2nd team All-American by 2 sources. 1st team All-Region and Defensive Player of the Week twice, if I'm not mistaken. How did this feel after everything you had gone through? I mean, like, you were reaching success finally.
Oh, man, like, you said it beautifully. When, like, I look back at it, and even in the moment, getting that award after award, definitely spoke to me about, one, who I am. I proved myself right. Even though he didn't have to, God proved himself to me that no matter, how many times people tell me no, if he says yes, it's yes. And I can't tell you how many times people told me no, how many ways people have told me no. Even to this day, people tell me no. And now I have that foundation and proof that, it's possible. Anything's possible. It really is. If you have that passion, you have that foundation, you have that faith, and as long as you're true to yourself, you have what it takes.
100%. 100%. So of that giant list of awards I just rattled off there, are there any that stand out above the rest to you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It's always interesting to hear your guys' perspective on that, because I mean, like, you get so many different awards, and it's like, man, at some point it's gotta, like, there's gotta be one that kind of just, like, sticks out.
Yeah, I think honestly my senior year, that Defensive Player of the Year award, just because like, my whole college journey, that was a story in itself. I went into my freshman year, first of all, barely even making the team. I was like almost last on the depth chart. By the end of freshman camp, I was 2nd string. And then my whole career, my sophomore year, I had injury after injury every week. Finally starting in college, but I was so injured almost every week, so I was battling my self-confidence. Junior year, the team took a big hit. Like, it was like, I obviously had these each year battles, and then my senior year to top it off with, my team saying that I was the best there, because I know we had a lot of great guys. We were the #1 defense in D3 and not D3 history in D3 that year. So to say that, I was the best defensive player on that team that year, that spoke volumes to me. And I got to say, I didn't expect that award. It was a true blessing and a test again to what God can do at the end of the day.
So that was a player voted on award?
I think it was coaches. Yeah.
either way, I
Right.
mean, after what you had heard and been through, I mean, that had to have been awesome to hear people like telling you you're that good, that you're great, you know. So this performance during your senior season helped your school go undefeated until the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
was more important to you, the team accomplishments or proving your doubters wrong?
I gotta say, definitely the team accomplishments because personally, I know a lot of guys on the team who had their own, internal battles, and I got close with a lot of those guys. I got to hear a lot of their stories similar to mine, and they kind of had the same thing where people would tell them no constantly over and over again. And then so, I even told them at the time, and I still tell the guys on this team to this day, you can't focus on all that background noise. Like kind of like what I said earlier, people are always gonna have things to say, and if you keep, focusing on them, then you're gonna miss out on the amazing things you're doing, and you don't want to get trapped in um, kind of always looking outside. Like that's why I focus so much on like what's going on around me, because if I focus too much on the background noise, I know myself I'm gonna fall victim to it because I'm starting to listen to the world instead of God, instead of my family. You know what I mean? So
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So you mentioned you had some injury issues during college. What have you done since then to kind of address that and like change the way you would treat your body, I guess?
I would say I listen to my body more. And then also as a young athlete in college, I had trouble, I guess, understanding the importance of rest. I was, you know, I come from like grinding, so like I was in the gym all the time. I was on the field after practice. I was up in the morning. I was back in the gym after practice. Like I was doing all these things constantly, and my body wasn't resting. And that's the only reason I had so many injuries. I had to sit down with a lot of people to get it through to my head. Like you need to slow down. You need to rest because if you don't rest, your muscles are not gonna have time to build. Like I'm trying to build all my muscles up, but they're fatigued 24/7. Bad things happen. So I think just listening to my body more and just understanding the importance of taking a deep breath, sitting down for a minute, being in the moment, things like that.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, I'm no fitness expert by any means, but I've definitely heard that days of rest are important to let your muscles rebuild and get to the point where they're not constantly torn down and torn down and torn down
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly. But at 5'10", 190 pounds, you entered the NFL draft pool in 2019. You were unfortunately undrafted, but kept your eyes on football. Was this when you received your tryouts with Minnesota and Chicago?
Oh, that was actually, I get the times mixed up. It was around that time, but it was a private workout. So they actually came to our school. I want to say it was that spring. They came to our school and gave us a private workout, measurements. We ran some drills, things like that. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So after the 2019 season ended, you landed with the Iowa Barnstormers in February of 2020, if I have that correct, but lasted just a short time. Did this teach you anything, or did it affect your career in any
Oh
way?
yeah. It definitely taught me a lot. First of all, like not being drafted back, when school ended, I was going through a lot of things at the time, and a lot of personal issues. I should say. And I didn't know how to quite handle a lot of those things. I had a lot of mental, um, like mental breakdowns, mental fatigue, mental things going on. And I also learned a lot just because in that time, I learned mentally, if you're not there physically, there's nothing, like if you're not even mentally there, your body cannot do anything. And it showed like through my workouts, through like training, pro day training, tryouts, training for that, you'll see how um, when you're constantly when your mind is somewhere else and you got a lot of other things going on, um, it takes a toll on your body, and everyone can see it. And then so part of that is why I think my path is a little different, because I didn't end my college my senior year the way that I expected it to because of those mental things that got in the way. But with the Iowa Barnstormers, it gave me hope because, yeah, it's not where I wanted to be. And yeah, I didn't even know the rules. So it was a learning curve in itself with that, but it gave me hope because it was pro, and it was kind of like my entry to the pro level. No one knew my name on a grand scale. No one knew who I was going into that camp even. And you know, another part of my story is like I'm usually written off those first couple days. Usually those first couple practices, first couple tryouts, first couple anything, people tend to write me off. So I went into that camp like not on a contract. I just went into the camp as a camp body. I don't even know what that is, but like basically camp bodies. NFL has them, a ton of them. People just there so that they can get hit, things like that. And then so going in there as a camp body, I think it was like the second day, I had like 3 interceptions during the practice, and then one ran back for a touchdown. The coach pulled me to the side after practice and had a contract ready for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then like 3 weeks later, COVID, but no, it definitely taught me a lot. It brought me back to again a test of what God can do. The doors that I didn't even see opening that laid right before me. Definitely.
100%. So actually, you brought up a question I didn't previously put in my list. How big of an adjustment is it to go from basically playing NFL style rules your entire collegiate career, and then you jump to the indoor football league where the rules are totally different? I mean, that's got to be a huge adjustment.
Yeah, it is adjustment. Down to like, I'll start off with this because a lot of players don't even realize this. At like almost every team that I've played against or played with in this league, is that in an arena, we're in a building. When we're outside, we're outside. But when you're in an arena, you have all those pads on, you have your helmet on, shoulder pads on, surrounded by a bunch of people, enclosed. It gets very hard to breathe sometimes. And then, outdoors, obviously fresh air, you got as much space as you need. But, indoor, that takes a toll. And you got to really get adjusted to that. You got to really be conscious of that, get all those fluids in you. Because even, yesterday was our first game of the season. It's tough, I was here last year, but still I'm like, okay, we're back. We're back in it. I feel it. So,
Definitely.
but, the game is faster. It's a lot more passes, a lot more touchdowns, a lot more injuries. People go over the wall. The ground is kind of fake turf. It's more like carpet, to be honest. So it's definitely, more like gladiator arena feel to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For anybody who does not watch the indoor football league or hasn't watched the old arena football league, it's totally different. They literally are playing in basically converted soccer stadiums or basketball stadiums. And it seems like, don't quote me on this, I could be wrong, but it seems like they more or less roll a very thin layer of AstroTurf either over concrete or cinder blocks.
Yeah.
And
exactly
I have heard it is not fun. In fact, I've heard professional level players say they refuse to play at this level in these leagues because it's that bad and it hurts that much. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that should tell you right there how dedicated these guys are in this league to play through stuff like that. They're literally just playing football because they love the game. And that in itself should be enough reason to watch the games to me. I think it's more exciting watching guys like you play that are there for the absolute love of the game. They're not there to, just strictly for the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's definitely, and that's the one thing about this league too is, not every arena is the same. Like we are blessed here because, we've won a lot. We have a lot of championships, so that brings a lot of money. And we have one of the nicer arenas in the league, in the IFL. Now, there are some arenas that aren't as fortunate, and we have to go play there sometimes, so we got to adjust. Some end zones are round, and then some end zones are square. So you just have to know, the different arena you're in at the time. And that's also, something that we constantly have to adjust to. Okay, who are we playing this week? Okay, they're not as it's a little bouncy over there. So, we might have to, be prepared for things like that. So,
100%. It's a different kind of league that, I mean, there's a whole nother aspect to the game that people don't even think about. And it's from a personal perspective, I've went and seen a couple arena football league games. Granted, that was years ago before the AFL shut down, but they are so much more exciting than NFL games to me. They're so much faster. There's so much more scoring. Like you said, it passes every play. Basically, it's not unheard of to see like 6, 7, 8 touchdowns in a quarter. It's crazy. But so much fun to watch. Following this brief stint in Iowa, you were signed by the BC Lions of the CFL. Walk me through how this must have felt and how it affected you when you were told the 2020 season was set to be canceled due to COVID.
Well, I think, for everyone around the world, it was kind of just like, what? I had to come back home, obviously. And at that point, I kind of felt like it was a big slap in the face. Here I am going through all this trials and tribulations. And then all of a sudden, I finally get a shot. I finally get a taste of what the pro life is like. And then boom, done, over. No contact with anyone after that. From that team, from the CFL, all through quarantine, I was pretty much just kind of like trying to stay healthy, trying to stay fit. But how everyone was kind of struggling with what was going on in the world, and everybody had their own battles. Me personally, I think I grew a lot out of that. I was fortunate to not have many of my family members fall victim to COVID or anything like that. Forever grateful for that, and I continue to be thankful for that. And then also mentally, I grew as strong as I think I've ever been. And I've become a lot more wiser. I've taken a lot of the things that I've dealt with, or that I hadn't dealt with in my childhood, or just coming up that I didn't realize were issues. I took that time to kind of work through those things, and then I kind of came out of that a better person, I gotta say. And then to this day, I continue to grow from what I built back then, in my relationships, with my family, my loved ones and my friends.
Definitely. I mean, I can imagine that was a hard thing to deal with. I mean, finally getting a chance in the CFL, and then all of a sudden it's taken away by something that's completely out of anybody's control that basically flipped the whole world upside down for a year or two.
Yeah.
So this next question, feel free to pass on it if you don't want to answer it. Do you believe if you had been able to play for BC in 2020 that you'd still be in the CFL, or would you still be in the IFL?
Is one thing I've learned about the things that I try to plan in life is that God's plans are always bigger than mine. I gotta say, never thought I'd be playing for the IFL back in 2019 when I was in college. And then when I was in college, if I thought back to when I was 15, I never thought I'd be playing in college, And, I continue to surprise myself with how far and what I'm capable of. And that's why I don't think my career is going to stop here at the IFL. I don't think that, this is going to be my last season. I think that I have a lot more to offer, a lot more years to play, and I could play anywhere. All I need is opportunity, and that's just that.
I would agree. I mean, like I said before, I was expecting to watch your game and see you make some plays, but there was times when you literally took the game over. And like that first drive, like I mentioned to you off camera, you literally stopped that offense. It was like 3 plays in a row where it was like Famus Hasty, Famus Hasty, Famus Hasty. And then boom, drive done. They kick a field goal and you guys got the ball back. And I was just like, wow, like this guy is really popping. And like, that's just watching it from a fan perspective. So I can imagine that like you're making an impression somewhere. Somebody's seeing this.
Right.
There's no way you pop on film like that above every other player on the field, basically. And and not get noticed at some point or another. There's no way.
Appreciate it.
But on an IFL roster, like we mentioned, it's a totally different game. There's only 21 guys on the active roster, correct?
Yeah.
So that often forces coaches to play guys both ways. Have you found yourself in this role?
I have not actually. I know that we've had a couple guys have to come play DB, receivers or running backs. Last year we even had our kicker on the field playing safety, and that's not unheard of especially when you get into like, week 12, week 11 playoffs. People are hurt, people are banged up. And it's definitely happened. Not to me yet. I wouldn't even hate having to go out there on receiver or running back. I think that'd be a little fun, but we'll see what happens.
I would love to see you at wide receiver. And I mean, if you played it before, it might happen again.
Right.
Why not, right?
Right.
So during the existence of the IFL, they're very proud of the fact that they've sent 80 players to other leagues, NFL, CFL, what have you. Is this ultimately your goal? Do you believe NFL teams take arena players as serious as they should?
I think it's still, it kind of depends. Personally, what I've seen, I think most people respect, the pro level aspect of it. They respect the grind because, a lot of players and a lot of coaches know, like what's really going on. Like we're grinding just like everybody else, It's more so, I think more like kind of like fans, outside the box kind of people thinking more so we're just, I don't know if they think we're playing for fun, things like that. A lot of people just haven't heard of it. They're not familiar with it. So, you can't blame them either. But to answer one of your questions, yeah, I think I could play anywhere. My goal ever since I started, seeing a career out of football is that I'm not going to stop until I find a receiver that I can't guard. And I'm not even close, respectfully. But so with that being said, I've played against guys who have been in the NFL, played with guys who have been in the CFL. We have guys right now on our team who have been in the NFL, CFL, semi-pro, fresh out of college. We have tons of guys from all around leagues, and that's what's beautiful about this is you're gonna see all types of talent. There are some guys here who don't know what's going on, and then there's some guys here who've been playing here for 10 years. So I think, I don't even want to place a ceiling on myself because I know where God can take me, and I've seen miracles happen, and I know that I'm capable of just about anything I put my mind to.
100%. I mean, like I said, you definitely popped on film yesterday. So, I mean, I don't know if it was just happy luck or I don't know. You definitely looked like you can play at the next level. I mean, granted, I'm no expert, but I've been watching football for 20 years. So at this point, I feel like I can tell when somebody belongs in the NFL. So,
well, I appreciate that. Seriously.
Absolutely. So, when you were a kid, did you follow the Arena Football League at all, or is this just kind of something that you jumped into because it was the opportunity you were given?
I did not follow it as a kid. I remember hearing about it, and actually, I had a friend who stayed in the Chicago area, and I remember his dad had went to a arena football, like back when the AFL was here. They went to Arena Football League, and it was in Chicago. And I remember looking them up, and I remember, obviously I'm looking at the highlights, and see guys fall over the wall, guys running into the wall, jumping in the end zone, falling over fans, things like that. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy, and then I, never thought 10 years later I'd be here, but I gotta say the opportunity presented itself to me, and I just took advantage of it. Yeah,
hard to blame you there. I mean, if your dream was to play professional football and you got a chance like that, there's no sense in passing it up. That's for sure. So you're a multifaceted person. You're not just an athlete. You describe yourself as a musician and a poet, something you don't often see from an athlete. At what age did you begin to create poetry and music? Is there anything published that fans of yours can go check out?
Well, I don't do any of that professionally. I play the guitar on the side, write poetry on the side. I even wrote like short, you call them books. I don't know, stories. I do a lot of things on the side. I even did martial arts. I did multiple martial arts. Personal trained and coached. And I think uh, where that all kind of stems from is like as a kid growing up, I definitely had kind of this fear almost of like not being good enough. Um, and then so I always try to compensate for that by doing everything. So I see somebody playing the guitar, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna play the guitar. And I see somebody learning martial arts. I'm like, well, I want to learn martial arts. And then it kind of went from there to where I started doing these things where I even had a list on my phone, like things to try. It would be like handstand for 10 minutes. If I couldn't do it, then I'm gonna figure out how to do it, or like learn how to do a tornado kick or something like that. And then eventually I, would dabble with how people learn, mostly through YouTube, and then just kind of explore different opportunities with that presented themselves, a martial arts class here and there, or looking up guitar lessons here and there. I watched a lot of slam poetry, spoken word, things like that. And a lot of people wouldn't expect this. I know there's a lot of my family over here that I have no idea that any of this happened, but yeah, so.
Well, personally, I think it's always good to be a multifaceted person. I mean, you can't just burn yourself out on football all the time. As much as football is great, don't get me wrong. I obviously love football, but yeah, there's more to life, obviously.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you being so multifaceted is obviously not a bad thing. I definitely feel that I do multiple different things with my life to earn a living and whatnot. So, it definitely makes sense. So I actually just spoke with another Arena League player. He actually is a National Arena League player, but he actually came up with a suggestion that he thinks the National Arena League and the IFL should merge and combine their efforts to grow the arena game as a whole. What's your opinion of this thought? Do you think it would help or hurt the game?
I've heard of the NAL. I know there's a couple other ones too, like the CIF. I know there's a couple arena leagues, and I think that could work. I don't know the business side of it. Obviously, I'm just a player here. I don't know what like really works on the, with the different leagues. They're different, rules, owners, things like that. But I don't see how that could hurt other than uh, maybe there be like if there's two teams in like one area, things like that. Like I think teams would have to combine certain things because I feel like a lot of teams are in a lot of different places. We're just very like low key almost, So, I'll be open to it, So I don't have a problem with it.
Absolutely.
But
I mean, actually, not to sound biased, but it sounds like the National Arena League would stand to gain a little bit more. I think they only have 6 or 8 teams, and I'll correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 15 right now in the IFL.
Yeah, man. I know we just added 8 teams or 7 or 8 teams this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last year. Well, last year was COVID year, so some teams actually didn't even have a team that year just simply because of COVID. They were still recovering. So I guess technically I don't know exactly how many teams we had before, but yeah.
Gotcha. I had seen there had been a merger. I didn't think it was that recently, so maybe I'm mistaken on that. Let's see. You also mentioned you have a love for mixed martial arts. How did this love for the sport come around, and do you use this as something for training for football as well?
Yeah, so I think I first started with karate back when I was living in Memphis. That was my first love for martial arts. And I think it kind of started with the environment I was in. I just kind of wanted to always be able to protect myself, things like that. And then, I grew up in a lot of different places. Um, I grew up in the country, I grew up in the city, grew up in the suburbs. So I've been around a lot of different type of people. And I've also just kind of always wanted to expand. So like I started with karate, then I went to like taekwondo, I believe, then boxing, and then kickboxing, and then I just kind of used things here and there. I did a little Muay Thai, Krav Maga, um, quite a few just different tools. You know, I always wanted to be versatile with my toolbox. You know, I always didn't want to do the same thing. And then eventually, I just kind of noticed it translated over to football. Simple things like, you know, getting off a block or maybe jamming a receiver, even tackling, obviously tackling, things like that. I still to this day use some of my wrestling techniques or judo techniques to take down bigger receivers or bigger running backs, things like that. So I, to this day, still use those things, even though I don't practice mixed martial arts as much, just because, you know, kind of getting more into football, obviously. So kind of do those things in the off season rather than full year
Oh
around.
yeah, that makes
Yeah,
perfect sense. I've actually heard a lot of high-end athletes say stuff like that. That I
yeah,
don't train football year round. Typically in the off season, I'm out playing basketball or, like you, mixed martial arts or boxing or something like that, trying to use different movements to train while still,
yeah.
kind of focusing on football at the same time. So as we mentioned before, you're a very multifaceted person. I mean, you've served as a personal trainer, a swim instructor, and a soccer coach.
Yeah.
Showing that your athleticism also transcends football, obviously, because you have some sort of knowledge in all of these positions to help these people. Do you see yourself playing any other sport at a professional level if you weren't playing football?
Um, I gotta say, probably not, because football's always been that number one sport for me. I think uh, when football's said and done, I like to continue with football, in a certain way, and maybe obviously do other things with that. But I definitely, fell in love with this game, and I did play other sports in college. I mean, in high school, I was in track, and I did wrestling, things like that. But yeah, I think football professionally is where I want to be.
Makes perfect sense. Definitely. Are you looking into like coaching after your career, or are you looking more like broadcasting or something like that?
I think I would go the more of the path of either athletic trainer, football trainer, or football coach. Depending on where it's at. How those things. But I want to do something more personal with the players. I kind of want to get to know them on and off the field. So maybe even like a mentoring, ship or something like that. I want to kind of see where everyone's mind's at because football is, it's crazy, especially at this professional level. You see guys, um, come from all different places, and a lot of them have crazy stories, and for most guys it doesn't work out. Um, and I know for me, the things that I've been through, if I didn't have my parents and my wife and my family behind me, I don't think I would have made it this far because I needed that. I needed that foundation. And then I know there's some guys out there that don't have that. Uh, and I want to kind of be that guy if I can, if guys, God willing, that I can help them out, help them through those tough times. Maybe not even just in football, maybe just in life, things like that.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, you actually just rolled right into my next question. Honestly, I was going to ask if you've taken the role of mentor with anybody else on your team. I mean, I know you're a fairly young guy in terms of football career, but just hearing your mentality, it kind of sounds like that's something you're definitely open to.
Yeah, this year definitely. Last year was my first year with the Storm, obviously, and I think last year I learned that I can do more than what I did last year. Last year I was a great football player. I was a great teammate. But this year I wanted to do more off the field. I wanted to actually, get to know these guys better. I wanted to be somebody that they can go to, be somebody that they can call on if they need something. I wanted to be that mentor for them on the team. And I think, talking to a lot of the guys, I earned that respect from them. And, even after the game, a lot of them coming up to me, talking, they want to hang out after, they want to do this, they want to go there. I'm like, oh, my wife's here. That's going to be another time. But, to earn that respect from them is huge because it's kind of me stepping out of my comfort zone to reach out like that. I'm usually very reserved, I guess. I'm usually kind of like watching my back with people. I'm kind of like a little, more like that. But then, with them, I kind of decided to branch out a little bit more, and I'm glad I did. Now, I continue to do that this entire season, wherever that takes us. So,
absolutely. I think that stuff's important, especially when you're in a team atmosphere. Guys like you that are taking guys underneath your wing and kind of like mentoring them, it helps. On another note, was there anybody that took you under their wing when you first joined the league?
In IFL?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I would say so. I would just say like, being the new guy, it was hard because we had a lot of new guys last year. Like I think almost our entire team was new. So it was hard for us to kind of find that groove, like that bond. It eventually did come, but I think the faster you get that bond with someone, the stronger it'll be. You know what I mean? Like the faster we get to know each other, the faster, we hang out, the faster, I can trust you to make the right call. You can trust me to make the right call. The more we can trust each other, the more we can play confident. And I think that just applies to anything in life. When you have that bond with somebody and you can trust them to, have your back, to do things with you, then that would just make you so much more confident in them and in yourself. So that's what I strive for this year, every week.
Makes perfect sense. On a totally unrelated note to football, how long have you been married?
6 months, almost exactly. On the 23rd.
Very nice. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Very nice and fresh.
Yep.
You guys have any kids?
No, we do not.
Planning on it in the future?
Yep, in the future.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got a couple kids myself. I'm also married. It's the way to go.
Yeah.
Family life is the way to go.
We're on our way, most definitely.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I had not caught that anywhere in my research. So when you mentioned your wife, I was like, oh, hey, I should probably ask about that. Heading into the 2021 season, that was your first year with the Sioux Falls Storm, where you still play to this day. How have the coaches helped you develop as a player, and what is the best part of being a member of the Storm?
How have they helped me progress as a player? I think the best way that they've helped me is by, I want to say, just confidence. Since day one, again, I came to Storm not on a contract. I had to earn it. And excuse me. And then so by me earning the contract throughout camp, they naturally developed this confidence in me that, helped me to feel more confident in myself. I had a great defensive back coach who was a Hall of Famer in the IFL, Coach Fields. And, the amount of knowledge and wisdom he passed down to me alone, I don't even know if he realizes how much of that I took in. And, I actually say a lot of those same things, do a lot of those same things to these new guys that came in here this year. So by them instilling that foundation in me last year of, what to expect, how to carry yourself, who do you want to be? How do you want to be remembered? What are you here for? What are your goals? Why are you struggling? Like, what's your story? These are things that I think a lot of people don't consciously think about, but it helps you when those bullets start flying and when, things hit the wall. It helps you to center yourself and remember why you started. And that, I gave that exact same speech to these guys a couple of days ago. So just the confidence in me, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you said that there's, last year your team was fairly new. Did you take on a leadership role right away, or is it something that's developed over time?
I think right away I kind of noticed that we needed, or that I needed to step up. So I tried to get to know the guys better. I try to get them to trust me because that's what it's all about. If I trust you, you trust me, we're gonna be a great team. But it's when I have to second guess if you're gonna actually do your job because now I'm a step behind because I got to make sure you do your job so that I can do my job, and now we're both not doing our job, and now it's crazy. So um, developing that trust is what was my number one goal, and yeah, I achieved it, and I continue to try to work through that with the guys, just keep trying to build it tougher and tougher, and this first game was a great attest to that. We played for each other. We knew where we were going to be. I knew you were going to do that, so I could do this, and I know you're behind me, so I could jump this. So that trust is huge, definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On the professional level, even if you're not in sports, I think trust is a huge deal on any company level.
Yeah.
This is more of a curiosity thing than anything for me. But did you pursue an opportunity with the USFL in 2022?
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, I didn't hear back from them about the drafts or anything like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I kind of continued my path here. I went through a lot of, no's. So yeah, it hit a little bit, but like we kind of talked about earlier, focus on myself, focus on my family. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to, still have a pro football career outside of that. And, I did talk to a few of the players that were there. My cousin being one of them, Sean Williams. I expected him to have a crazy year, put up crazy numbers. And I look forward to possibly working with him in the future or any other league in the future. But right
Okay.
now, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm doing great, and I strive to continue to do great. So
Absolutely. That kind of rolls me right into my next question. Although, hold on just a second. Did you say your cousin was Shad Williams? Did I catch that right?
Sean Williams.
Sean Williams.
Yeah, he played for the Navy.
Oh,
Navy.
okay. Gotcha. All right. I remember seeing his name up.
Yeah.
I watched the entire draft. I'm
Oh
a
yeah.
huge football nerd. So,
Yeah, check him
yeah.
out. He's on the Panthers.
Definitely will.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, obviously you mentioned before you already tried to get with the USFL once before, but what is your overall opinion of spring football? And do you see yourself attempting to try and land in spring football again in 2023, whether it's the USFL, the XFL, or whether you've heard about it or not, the MLFB?
I think to answer your question, I love spring football, and I love football. Period. I think the NFL is obviously everyone's goal, um, and for a long time it was my goal. But my truest goal is to be happy, and you know, there are people with millions of dollars who are depressed every day, and there's people who work minimum wage jobs that are just the most happiest people alive. So I can't define my life by my job, if that makes sense. Like I have too much to offer for me to say, oh, I need this, only this, by this way. There are many ways to get to the NFL. There are many ways to get to another league. There are many ways to live your life. Um, I would love to play this sport for as long as I can, whether that's the IFL, the NFL, XFL, USFL, and whatever you said that I've never heard of. But um, I think that, like I said, I'm going to play this game until I feel like I can't anymore. And I feel like I have at least 10, 12 more years in me. So I'm going to keep climbing that ladder, keep putting my name out there, keep putting my family out there, and above all, keep putting God out there because, man, like, there's so many times where I've literally shouldn't have even been here, like on this earth. So I can't be nothing but grateful for everything.
That is one hell of a perspective, man. And honestly, that's probably why you've been so successful. you look at life as a gift, it sounds like, and that's how you should. I mean, it is at the end of the day. So basically, to answer your question on the MLFB, that's the Major League Football. I don't blame you for not hearing about it, because they've been trying to launch since like 2016.
I was about to say, I think I've heard about that in college.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah, I think
I guess they're supposedly going to have a season in 2022. They just unveiled jerseys and all kinds of stuff, so we'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, what I always say is more football is good football, especially for guys like you. It's just another league that can, if more opportunity is always a good thing.
Yes, sir.
So, but anyway, I'm going to let you go, man. I really appreciate you coming on and spending the last hour with me. It was awesome watching you play yesterday and dominate that game. And I definitely will be following the rest of your games and hopefully keeping up with you in the future. Maybe you come on after the season and we can recap it all.
Yeah, no doubt. I appreciate you for having me on. Man, really do. Thank you for everything, all your kind words. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. I didn't say anything that wasn't deserved. So you have a good rest of your night, man. And once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great one. So I wanted to close this video with a little bit of a highlight video. And granted, I didn't put a whole lot of effort into this video. I unfortunately didn't have as much time as I would have liked to have had to put this on for him. But this is simply the first drive defensively for the Sioux Falls Storm. So go ahead and watch with me as you watch as Famus Hasty takes over this first drive and completely shuts down the opposing offense. By the way, you're watching for number 3. On this pass, he'll be there. Boom. Look at that coverage all over that receiver. Bear with me, guys. I know there's a lot of filler here. I was literally taping this right off of the broadcast on YouTube from the IFL. I didn't chop out a lot of it because literally, like I said, this whole first drive is basically a highlight reel for Famus. There he is again, right by the ball, rallying to make a tackle in the run game. In case you haven't been noticing as well, he lines up on the outside and in the inside covering slot receivers. He's very versatile. Okay, it's 3rd and 9. Look who makes the tackle. Famus Hasty, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, shut down that drive. Like I said, I had not previously watched much IFL, and I definitely had not looked up Famus Hasty specifically prior to this game or this interview. But I joined this game watching live and was amazed to see how often his name was called by the announcers. It was almost like every other play, he was at the ball or making the tackle or defending the pass, whatever it may have been. And I mean, you look right there, boom. That was a tackle for a loss by a defensive back that weighs 190 pounds, maybe 200 pounds at this point. I mean, to see a guy like that come up and play the run like he just did, coaches should be salivating over this dude. He is not only the type of leader you want in your team and in the locker room, he is the type of guy that will play the ball every single play. You will find him around the ball no matter what, because it doesn't matter if it was his guy to cover or on the opposite side of the field. He's there to support his teammates when the ball is thrown, regardless of where it's at. That's the type of guy you want in a secondary. You want a guy who's going to chase down the ball carrier, whether it's a run play or a pass play. And you definitely seek out guys like that play cornerback, because they're few and far between, especially when he's 5'10", 190 pounds. I mean, he's not the biggest guy in the world, and he's coming up and playing the run like he does. So for NFL teams and for CFL teams to not take notice of him outside of one opportunity that he had with BC is nothing short of ridiculous. And I'm biased because, like I said, I've been talking to Famus for about a week or so off and on, and he's a genuinely nice guy. But at the same time, his play speaks for itself. And for the fact that he's not in those leagues is a joke. And I expect it to change down the line. He's a great dude. And when teams begin to see the type of leader he is and the type of player he is and see more film of him, they're going to take a chance on him. It's only a matter of time before he gets an opportunity at a higher league. And really, on another note entirely, the Indoor Football League is a great league. It's so fun to watch games. If you haven't caught one, do yourself a favor. Look up their YouTube page, watch the next game that comes up, and you will not be disappointed. It is action-packed, it is fan-centered, and it is, most importantly, one of the most exciting forms of football I've ever watched. And that's saying a lot because I've been watching the NFL for 20-some years. Once again, I consider myself extremely lucky to have him join me, and I look forward to future time with him on the show. I mean, he's a great dude, and he's very insightful. Maybe I could even talk him into coming back and breaking down some of his own film once I get some more time to cut up a highlight video of him. But thanks to everybody who joined me. I appreciate you guys sticking with us. Check out in a few days when I get this video edited and add a little bit more of his highlight videos to it. And once again, thank you to Famus for joining me, man. Can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it. And I hope we did you justice here by interviewing you. I think that you guys in the IFL deserve a lot more attention than you get. And I'm looking forward to the future for you and the rest of the IFL. And hopefully more fans jump on board like they should. But that's all I've got for you tonight. This was SamShady Sports. That was Famus Hasty. Join me for my next interview coming up next week. And see you in the next video.